So the other big release this week was Max Payne 3. And, we've talked about Max Payne 3 probably since the beginning of this show. We've known it was coming for a long time.
Yep.
And, there's been much debate about it. The first screenshots we saw were, a bald, bearded Max Payne, who we fondly named, Ray Payne. I believe it was you, Mousse who coined that name.
I'm sorry, but that's what screamed to me when I saw that bald Max Payne.
And it's stuck ever since, dude.
Yeah.
Yep, it's Max Payne's brother from the South.
It looked nothing like Max Payne.
Yeah.
He was a little too heavy. The facial features were too droopy. It didn't look like Max Payne.
Yeah, I mean, they straight up changed Max Payne's design, so.
I'll go ahead and say Ray Payne is in this game. But it's not all bad. Let's start with the setting. My big issue is the issue I worried about the most, and Rockstar tried to say, hey, yeah, this game is going to take place in Brazil, but you're still going to have the New York setting. Unfortunately, there's way too much Brazil, and at most, maybe an hour of New Jersey, actually. It's not even New York City, it's New Jersey. And you basically, in the New Jersey scene, you have these Jersey mobsters who are pretty much from the Jersey Shore, making fun of that.
Great.
And you get to kill those guys. It's a part of the story, but in a lot of ways it does feel kind of tacked on. I mean, had these scenes not been in there, like, I don't think you really would have missed them, and I don't think it would have affected the story too much. A little bit, I guess, but not too much. So, my complaints, or I should say my fears were founded about there being way too much Brazil. And, the setting, it completely changes Max Payne. I mean, you've still got kind of that grittiness, that gritty noir feel. And in some sections, there's one section of the game that is actually pretty spooky, and it's done really well. But overall, man, you just don't get that dark, gritty New York City kind of feel. You sort of get that, hey, you're in poverty kind of gritty feel.
You're in a shithole.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the first really disappointing thing. The game is about probably 12 hours total, and like I said, you might spend an hour out of Brazil, but it is, make no bones about it, it's majority Brazil, and the multiplayer is also majority Brazil, so.
That's unfortunate. Like, you would think at least in the multiplayer they would, switch things up a lot, because they aren't driven by a story that, presumably had been written ever since they conceptualized the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The only stage that is really great is probably my favorite stage in the game, which is like this graveyard stage where, before Max leaves for Brazil, he goes to say goodbye to his dead wife and child. And, that has a DLC mode, but, that's probably the best of it.
Wasn't that like a special download stage too?
Actually, yeah, it is, you're right.
So yeah, it's not even something that everybody has.
Yeah. Yep. Not unless you got the special edition.
That's kind of ironic.
Sorry, guys. The story is, it's fine. I would even say for an action game it's good, but it's not as good as Max Payne 1 or 2, man.
That's a shame, because you would hope that would be the thing that, like, they did really well.
There's a lot, it has a lot of style to it, a lot of cinematic flavor, but it just, again, it doesn't have that tone, that specialness that Max Payne 1 and 2 had. Like, I can go back and play Max Payne 1 and 2 now, and like, yeah, the graphics are incredibly dated, and it certainly is not the best looking game now, but I still get that same feel when I'm playing it, Max Payne 3, the story just, like, it could be called Max Goes on Vacation. Max's Vacation in Brazil. Overall, it doesn't really do anything major for the character, in my opinion. There are some twists and turns, but I didn't really, like, if Max Payne 4 comes out and it's in New York City again, this game will be an afterthought. Like, you won't really care.
That's a shame, man, because I really hoped that at the very least, you know, hey, it's like, hey, we're evolving the Max Payne character. I hoped that at least, like, by the end, we would see, like, some fundamental shift in Max Payne, you know, and who he was, you know, outside of, you know, hey, the guy that shaved his head and grew out the scruffy beard, you know, that we all saw in the ads and stuff.
Well, there is a reason for that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there is some character development, but I'm just saying, like...
Well, I mean, like, he changes, like, again. Like, you know, he comes to terms with stuff or something.
Right.
You know, like... But we already knew that was going to happen in the game because it was all over the advertising and stuff. So, like, that wasn't a surprise. You know, they didn't exactly pull a Metal Gear Solid 2 where nobody even frickin' knew Raiden was in the game until, you know, you got home with it.
Yeah.
No, everybody knew that Max Payne was going to be in Brazil. He was going to end up bald and, you know, with a beer gut and, you know, the scruffy mountain man beard.
Yep.
So, I mean, it almost felt like
Max Payne.
It's like, yeah, they might have developed all that, but, like, we already knew that was going to happen.
I mean, as far as the character's personality, I mean, he does change somewhat, and I don't want to give anything away, but, again, like, I feel like if there is a Max Payne 4, and I feel there will be, you know, this game's not going to have any great effect. Maybe you'll meet up with a character from this game or something, but besides that, you know, that's it.
Yeah. Real shame, man. I mean, I haven't played the game myself, but, you know, I've heard a lot of people sort of echoing the kind of things you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know, I certainly don't think it's limited to, you know, you in this sort of feeling that, you know, hey, it's not a bad game or anything. In fact, it's, you know, it's pretty good in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But
it's above average. I mean, it's an above average action game.
Yeah, but it's not Max Payne.
Right. Exactly. And that's the problem. It's not the Max Payne that, you know, that we grew up with.
Yeah. And I mean, frankly, Max Payne, you know, is a special game at this point, and this game even takes out some of the special elements of what made Max Payne so special in terms of gameplay and stuff. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's talk about the gameplay. I mean, the bullet time, you know, the gameplay is probably where the game shines the best. I mean, the bullet time is really awesome. It feels different from Max Payne 1 and 2, but yet it's familiar with the modern mechanics they've added. For example, you have cover, you know, you have the ability to, like, shoot, dodge, and fall on the ground. You can stay on the ground and then, like, shoot upwards or turn around and shoot, which all that works pretty good. The crazy thing, though, man, this game is hard. I mean, like, punishingly hard. Like, I started off playing on the normal difficulty because I was like, alright, I'm gonna try to do it the way they intended it to be played, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I don't do that if I care about the story in a game. I'm just like, I want to hear the story and then I'll go back and play it on normal.
Yeah, if you like it.
Right. But, like, this game is so punishing, I had to change it to easy, and I still had a hard time. There are these instant deaths that are, in my opinion, cheap, and I assume that happens when you get shot in the head. But, like, even if you have full health, you know, if you go running out of cover in slow-mo and you're, in bullet time and you're shot in the head, and, you know, that you just die. And it's like, what?
See, that's one of the big problems I have with this game in terms of it being an affront to what Max Payne is about.
Right.
Is, like, no, like, bullet time and Max Payne running out in front of bullets is kind of one of the things that made Max Payne special. And instead, like every other shooter on the market, they decide to rely on cover? Like, what?
You rely a lot on cover, way more than I think you should. Like, and I mean, I had no problem with them putting, like, the cover mechanic in the game, but
see, I had a
feel
problem
like,
with that in general.
Well, see, I feel like when you do, you should be, like, pushed up against a wall, not like a slab of concrete that's obviously been placed there, Gears of War style, for you to take cover. And that happens all too often in this game.
Yeah.
But I mean, when the bullet time is working, you know, it's a lot of fun. The shoot dodge, I feel like the shoot dodge has been lessened, like its effectiveness has been lessened a little bit. But I mean, it's
meant to rely on cover now.
Yeah, I mean, it still works, but I do wish they would have stuck with the old formula a little bit more.
Yeah, because, I mean, frankly, your cover in the old games, you know, it was your shoot dodge.
Yep.
Like, that's what it was intended for, was A, these guys can't get a beat on you, you know, and B, you know, hey, you're able to, you know, aim more quickly and react in a superhuman fashion in terms of speed, so.
Right.
I mean, but now it's like, no, okay, you know, if we made bullet dodge as effective as it used to be, like, you would be amazingly overpowered. So now you kind of have to compensate with cover, which,
But I love, you know, that feeling of being overpowered, because it really did make you feel like you were in a John Woo movie.
Yeah.
And when those games came out, man.
I mean, dude, if you played Max Payne on the hard difficulties, shit.
Oh yeah, it was not easy.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, when that first game came out, man, that was a dream come true, because I loved John Woo movies, like, you know, A Better Tomorrow, Hard Boiled, all those movies, just absolute masterpieces of the action genre. And I mean, they still hold up. The action still holds up today. Like, you can go watch them and you'll still be blown away. Be like, man, those scenes are amazing.
Yeah.
So I will say, like, this game does not recreate the John Woo feel. I think Stranglehold actually does a better job as far as gameplay goes of the John Woo feel.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, the deaths are really cheap. Another complaint I have is like, if you have a gun equipped and you go into a cinematic, you know, it'll go into a cutscene and he'll be holding a different gun. And then when you go back into the game, he'll have the gun he was holding during the cinematic. So you totally lose all your bullets and ammo you had for the other gun.
Oh, that's crap.
Really pissed me off several times.
Yeah, that would make me mad.
That really sucks.
I mean, you'd think in a modern action game, like, that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, it seems like that's something they wouldn't miss.
In conclusion, man, like I said, it's a great action game, but it fails to live up to anywhere near Max Payne 1 or 2. It's just straight up not as good from a story standpoint, from a gameplay standpoint. I mean, I guess you could say the graphics are great, but yeah, I mean, it's modern day, you know. Of course graphics are going to be better.
Yeah, especially when you're, you know, made by a studio like Rockstar. It's like,
right.
Well, yeah, I mean, the bar is just, you know, it's sort of assumed to be that high with them.
Right. You know, I should also mention multiplayer really quick. It's not impressive in my opinion. I don't like it. It has, loadouts like Call of Duty, like with certain weapons, like, you know, it'll say like you're a dealer or you're, you know, a soldier or whatever. You choose this loadout and you get certain guns, essentially.
Right.
And then as you progress and get money through the game, you can make your own custom loadouts. The problem with multiplayer for me is not even that, although I don't really like that system. I think it's dumb. But the problem is, like, if someone gets a beat on you and you get shot like 3 times, you're dead. I mean, there's no room for error at all. And the jump dodge really doesn't help, because when someone's got a lock on you, if you're using soft aim, they've got you and you're dead. So, you know, multiplayer, pretty disappointing. Also, I think, as I said before, I'm disappointed that a lot of the stages are set in Brazil and they didn't bring some stuff in from Max Payne 1 or 2. You know, like the brothel hotels, the really seedy hotels.
Frickin' Ragnarok Club, man.
The Ragnarok Club, you know, just all that kind of stuff. I don't know, man. You know what? Like, I don't mean to sound like so down on this game, because it's not like I didn't have a good time with it. I mean, I enjoyed Max Payne 3. It's just not really what I wanted out of a Max Payne video game.
Right, and you had huge expectations.
I
huge
did,
hopes,
probably.
I guess I should say.
Like when they said, you know, we're putting some stuff from New York in, you're not just going to be in Brazil. I was like, yeah, sold. I'm totally there. But the fact that stuff was so short,
you could tell that they basically decided to do it because of fan backlash.
I think so. I really think so. And I mean, I'm sure they would say otherwise, but I believe that's why it's in there.
Of course they would.
Know?
I mean, who's going to say that?
Like I said, I don't mean to say, like, you know, Max Payne 2 sucks or anything. Like, it's a great, or 3, excuse me.
Okay.
But man, you might want to rent it first, you know?
Yeah, especially if you're a old Max Payne fan.
I would highly suggest that you rent it first.
There you go.